Just a quick disclaimer before I get this video started. This will be a much longer video. So make sure you guys grab your snacks, grab your popcorn, drinks, coffee, energy drink, protein shake, whatever it is. Make sure you guys grab that and let's get started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article here from Fierce Network, I will leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So it happened. It's not really a surprise. It was rumored for quite some time, but it's finally officially announced to the street, the market, the consumer, the FTC, FCC, DOJ. It's been announced. Everybody has been made aware. I am told T-Mobile a few days ago called the FCC, FTC, DOJ to give them a heads up that they're going to make this deal. That's been confirmed to me. So all parties are now aware that T-Mobile is going to make an acquisition of the U.S. Cellular asset for $4.4 billion. Now, there's several other tidbits that are out now that I didn't see this morning. So the deal, the $4.4 billion deal, includes 4 million wireless customers and certain spectrum assets. So you guys, if you saw my previous video, the spectrum assets are listed in that video. So they're going to get 4 million customers on top of the spectrum assets and the 2,100 towers that they will lease back from U.S. Cellular / TDS. So that's going to help T-Mobile expand coverage into areas I guarantee you that they never covered before. And that's likely something that T-Mobile has been studying and working on for a long time now. I'm sure they've called U.S. Cellular and said, hey, look, let's work on this deal. Let me get your tower areas and let me work on this. And I'm sure that's what T-Mobile has been studying for the last 6 to 12 months to structure this deal where it favors them, right? So they can now add T-Mobile equipment onto 2,100 U.S. Cellular towers that they're going to lease and expand their coverage with those sites. I mean, it makes sense, right? Why would they add towers to where they already have existing towers, right? So they're going to look at, and of course, some of this is going to be densification, but for the most part, these sites are going to be where T-Mobile hardly has any coverage, or it'll be very fringe areas where this will help them expand and extend coverage. So U.S. Cellular is going to keep about 70% of its spectrum that they're going to retain, according to the document that I saw on the slideshow from U.S. Cellular's call with investors. And they're going to retain 4,382 towers on this deal. And then, like I said, T-Mobile will enter into a long-term lease agreement on at least 2,100 towers. I have seen the master lease agreement. It's for 15 years. So the 600 towers that T-Mobile is already on today that are operational with its native spectrum assets, plus the 2,100 towers of U.S. Cellular's, that's a 15-year master lease agreement. So U.S. Cellular has been steadily losing subscribers, in part due to the larger national wireless carriers like T-Mobile expanding into rural areas or rural America, as well as the rise of cable competitors in wireless. So cable competitors have been expanding via broadband into those areas, and now they are able to get those customers onto wireless as well because they use Verizon's network, which Verizon has overbuilt very well in U.S. Cellular territory, and that became just too big of a competitive threat for U.S. Cellular, and that's why they're selling those assets. So this will be interesting. Now, the big question is, right, all over the place, will FCC, FTC, and the DOJ approve? And it could be where one of them approves, the other doesn't. It's very possible. But a lot of analysts have already spoken out about this publicly and are saying they don't see any pushback on this deal. That's what I'm hearing from other people that I speak with. They don't see any pushback on this deal. And I got to agree, because it goes right in line with everything that the current administration is even preaching, like closing the digital divide, bringing more broadband options to rural America. This deal brings all of that. So it would be very hard for the current administration to argue against this deal. You know, there might be some additional divestitures that T-Mobile might have to do, which T-Mobile would probably be okay with if it's not too extreme. And that's something that they will look at as this, follows the natural course. I'm sure T-Mobile will have to fly out to Washington. They will have to meet with the FCC, the DOJ, and everyone else in person. They will probably have to go through several hearings on this. Although this is not as big of a deal as what they did with Sprint, this is still a pretty sizable deal that they will have to get across the regulatory bodies. Many feel they will be able to do it. There won't be much pushback from FCC, FTC. This even this morning on the call, US Cellular and TDS, they were very, very confident that they would get an okay from regulatory bodies because of how the deal is structured. And that's what I think they did for a while now. Like this deal didn't just get drawn up yesterday. They've been working on this for months. So they did their due diligence. They did their research. They looked at everything. They had plenty of advisors. T-Mobile had advisors. I'm sure US Cellular has their advisors. They have very smart people in high places. They probably got together and said, look, guys, what do we need to do? How do we need to structure this deal to get it across the regulatory bodies, to get the green light? And that's what they came up with. They likely decided, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you stores. We're going to give you the customers. We're going to give you some of the spectrum, some towers you can lease back from us. And this is the deal that they came up with. Now, the deal actually is in very, very big favor of T-Mobile's. T-Mobile is getting this at a fire sale. They're getting this at a discount. And what I mean by that is, so the $4.4 billion sounds like a lot, right? And of course, $4 billion is a lot of money. But not too long ago, New Street Research, they did their estimates according to the stock, the value, the customers, everything. And they valued that business to come in at a value of almost $7 billion. It was like $6.6 billion. So T-Mobile getting this at $4.4 billion for everything. The debt, the spectrum, the customers, the stores. I mean, that's a deal. That's a huge discounted rate. So that tells me that most of the higher up executives at US Cellular are pretty much just saying they want their golden parachute. Like, we're done. There ain't much we can do. We'll become a home broadband FWA tower business, and the rest of that stuff, the rest of the money we'll just invest back into our fiber assets through TDS. So that's going to be the route that they're going to take from as far as I can tell. Now for T-Mobile, this will unlock an entirely different way of competing for them. This really gives them a huge presence in rural America. It was, even after the merger, it was still questioned, right? Small market rural areas, they're starting to gain share. They're like at 18%, but still they were behind the competition in size and coverage. Even today, that's still the case. But now with this deal, they gain another 2,100 new coverage sites fairly quickly. And like I said in the previous video, quicker than what it would have taken them to build 2,100 sites on their own. Like, if they had to prop up 2,100 new sites that they had to build from ground up, it would have taken like 2 or 3 years to get each of them approved. This will definitely be a lot quicker going through this acquisition. So what does that mean for customers? It's tough to say right now. It's going to mean more competition, more home broadband, all of that good stuff, right? More spectrum, faster speeds, more capacity for the T-Mobile part. But we are losing a competitor. So we got to be honest about that. We got to look at that and say, yes, we are losing an additional competitor and the market is consolidating. So we got to look at that, right? We got to be fair. We got to be objective. Yes, we are losing a competitor and the market is consolidating. But then we also got to look at it. how strong of a competitor was US Cellular. Really not that strong of a competitor, right? They were starting to lose ground to the competition. With the Sprint and T-Mobile merger, T-Mobile was starting to move into the US Cellular territory, taking those customers. So it was just getting a lot tougher for US Cellular to stand on business. They had some opportunities to invest bigger chunks in 2019, 2020, I'm told. They didn't follow through with that, so they started losing out. They're still losing customers on a quarterly basis. They don't really have the balance sheet to support much of bigger network expansion and densification. Their marketing is subpar. So they just had their work cut out for them, and this is what they chose. They were up for sale for a while. AT&T and Verizon could have struck the same deal, a similar deal, maybe even a better deal. It seems like now they're just not going to be a part of it. T-Mobile carved out too much spectrum in this deal for anyone to be excited or find it attractive. T-Mobile is getting pretty much virtually, as I stated in the video earlier, all of AWS, all of US Cellular's PCS, 70% of their A Block 700. They're getting all of their 2.5, all of their 600. I mean, what else is left? The other 70% that US Cellular is retaining, it sounds like they still want to use for FWA, but they could liquidate that as well. And if they do liquidate and they do put it on the market for sale, then I can see Verizon stepping in and saying, hey, we want the remaining holdings of your C-band, or we want the remaining B and C block of 700, to help in those parts with their low band situation. Or AT&T could step in too, right? AT&T can't get DoD for another 20 months, but they could get some additional C-band. They could get the C and B block of 700. They could look at those assets and say, we want some of that. But like I said, is that attractive enough, or is it enough assets and spectrum period for them to spend maybe another, I don't know, $1 billion or $2 billion of what it would cost to buy those additional spectrum assets? It remains to be seen. We just don't know at this time. All we know officially, the deal between T-Mobile buying most of US Cellular is announced. It's a $4 billion deal. It's going to give them 4 million customers, 2,100 towers that they can lease, that they're going to lease, and then a bunch more spectrum. So just wanted to share that with you guys in this longer video. We'll see how this turns out. We'll be following for the updates, just like during the Sprint merger. For those of you who were on the channel back then, we will follow this closely. We will look at all the videos. We will look at all the articles. We will see what comes out. But most of the hints that I'm getting right now from everyone, even during the Sprint and T-Mobile merger, it was like more 50-50. In some cases, 70-30. They were like, nah, this won't go through. This won't get approved. But most people I've spoken with today already are giving me the yes, the green light. I haven't gotten a no yes. So that should let you know where this is heading, and that T-Mobile will likely get this deal past the finish line. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.